This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman and Riley Smith. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Dustin Hoffman.
Well, good day, everybody, and welcome to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Dustin Hoffman. Today is Friday, June the 17th, 2022. Thanks for joining us. Coming up in today's program, we will talk with Iowa 1st District Congresswoman Ashley Hinson about some ag-related bills that have made some moves in the House. We also will take a look at that ag weather outlook. But first, let's run down those markets. It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net. Well, we're at the end of the trading week. We've got a long weekend ahead of us, and right now we turn to Jacob Burks of agmarket.net. Jacob, how's it going today?
Good, Dustin. Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, so how did we shake out here to end the week?
It kind of started a little bit of a shakedown at the end of the day here, at the end of the week, led by wheat mostly down. Most of the day, we actually stayed on the positive side for a little bit this morning in all three contracts, and we ended up continuing to sell off here. The sell-off, realistically, is it because we see wheat coming out of the ports and some of the ports in the Ukraine area, not knowing a lot of confusion on who actually owns the wheat, but we are seeing some of that move. But we're down 45 cents here as we wrap up the day in Chicago. We're down about 45 in Kansas City and another 39 to 40 in spring wheat. So not a good end of the week here. Soybeans, on the other hand, a relatively good week. We stayed relatively steady into maybe to an upward trend. Looks like we're going to close right below some of these short-term moving averages in the old crop contract, or on a weekly chart anyway. And then looking at the corn market, strong most of the morning, 100% built off of weather, but probably some profit taking going into this 3-day weekend. And I think that's kind of the name of the game at the close here, is a little bit of taking a little bit of risk off as we go into the weekend.
So how much did the weather play a part? I know here in Iowa, I want to call it cooler, but it's just less hot. We're expecting it to get up into the 90s again. Talked with Matt this morning over in Illinois, and he said they've got corn leaves even curling just a little bit. What are things looking like there? What's the market watching?
Well, yeah, to poke fun at Matt a little bit, me and him argued about who had the best looking corn crop, the Southwest Wisconsin or Central Illinois, and he says that he has now the best pineapple fields out there. So yeah, I mean that's obviously what the corn crop does whenever it's trying to take care of itself. I don't think that you'll find a farmer out there that doesn't say sometime they're going to need a rain before the end of the year or before the pollination just to make the crop. But you're starting to hear that, and you're starting to see that quite a bit. We have not put ourselves in a marketplace right now that can really withstand not seeing 177 plus yield. And so I think everybody's a little bit on edge. So you're back to your question, is it weather? Yeah, everything's about weather right now. This is a very pivotal time. In the curious thing is that we're not even talking about the pollination. Usually when you talk about heat and ridges, it's during pollination because you've had a spread out planting season. But we planted everything really, really quick. We're pretty much before the pollination period on most people, and you still have that fear of, okay, what happens if it continues? What happens if this heat keeps pushing through? So there is a lot of fear there, and rightfully so. But what we're weighing on right now is how stressful is the crop getting with the heat and some dryness in areas, weighted against the lack of optimism in the economy. And so I think those two battles right now is a hard one to see. That's why you're seeing 45-cent moves in the wheat. That's why you're seeing 20-cent ranges in the corn. This is not typical, but we're typically not at 750 corn either. So the weight of those two things right now is what the market's trying to figure out.
So what about the livestock side of things, Jacob? How did those cattle and hog markets do today?
Well, it's nice to see a little bit of green. You got a lot of people in panic mode, whether it's out there trying to buy feeder cattle. You saw a cash market of cattle, fat cattle and feeder cattle just really spring up here this week. Feedlots are needing them. They're wanting to replace the well documented story of of a lot of cattle losses. You've got some decent margins available, and again, the weight of economic situation versus supply and demand. And I think right now that the demand has been relatively strong. You've seen come out, kind of staying pretty steady. It's been pretty mixed this week. But cash cattle, trading 150 up north and then the 140 in the south. So that has been a surprise to the marketplace. We're still, 12 cents under here in the cattle market. But all in all, they traded relatively good today. They stayed pretty strong. As far as the pork cutout, we're up about $1.87 here in the midday. It's putting our July hogs at 111. That was up $1.40 today. So to grade out the cattle and the livestock trade at the end of the day was a good strong day.
All right. Well, of course, again, the 3-day weekend, we're going to have a shortened weekend. First time we've had that in this point in the growing season in June. Is that going to make things a little more interesting when we come back on Tuesday?
Well, I can tell you what it did. It made a lot of my producers that I work with very interested on how to manage going through a very pivotal time in the marketplace. Very a lot of curiosity as far as what this weather forecast will go when you don't have a day on Monday to trade. I think that the first thing that everybody's looking at too is you got an $8 fall off in the crude oil. Okay, you got the stock market. Now we're trading back near to par. So there's a lot of things out there to question. So did that increase the fear, that increased the risk in their market? And so I think that using a lot of these risk management strategies right now is a pretty good idea.
All right. So if folks out there want to talk about their marketing plan, look at the situation they're in, maybe make some adjustments if they have to, how do they get in touch with agmarket.net?
Simply just go to agmarket.net. We encourage you to look at the 30-day free trial. We can also put you on a free trial of our My Farm app that can look at that price optimizer. If you have questions, get on there, look up there at our contact us page, and you'll get out to one of us.
All right, Jacob Woolley, thank you so much for the insight, and we'll talk to you again next week. Enjoy the weekend.
Thanks, Dustin.
That again was Jacob Burks of agmarket.net. Let's take a look at those closing numbers brought to us from folks at Bar Chart. July corn was down 3 3/4 at 784.5. December down 4 at 731 even. July beans down 7.5 at 1702. August down 8.5 at 1622 1/4. November beans down 5 3/4 at 1537.5. Soy meal was up $6.70 at $422.50 per ton. Soy oil down $2.42 at $72.26. Chicago wheat down 43 3/4 at $10.46 3/4. Minneapolis spring wheat 39.5 lower at $11.70 even. Kansas wheat down 43 3/4 at $11.12, and oats for September unchanged at $623.5. August live cattle were up 27 cents at $136.57. August feeders up $1.65 at $172.95. Lean hogs up $1.42 at $111 even. Pork cutouts up $1.47 at $115.75. Class 3 milk up a penny at $24.30. And that's been your Ag Market Recap. We're going to take a short break here from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soy Checkoff. When we come back, I talk with Iowa 1st District Congresswoman Ashley Hinson, talking about some activity that happened yesterday in the House, some good agricultural bills moving forward, and we'll hear from the Congresswoman right after this. This is Ag Matters PM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
Welcome back to AM/PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Dustin Huffman. There have been a number of ag-related bills that have the support of the Iowa delegation, if not proposed by them. Those include the Precise Act, some rules to close the loophole on E15 so it can be sold year-round. There's been some great positive movement on both of those bills and much more. We talked with Iowa 1st District Congresswoman Ashley Hinson to hear about what happened yesterday. And I'm visiting today with Iowa 1st District Congresswoman Ashley Hinson. Congresswoman Hinson, thanks for taking the time to visit today.
Absolutely. Always good to be with you, Dustin.
So we got a little bit of good news to talk about today, and that is the Precise Act that you have been working hard with. And we've got some good news. Why don't you share with our listeners what's going on there?
Absolutely. And I think we absolutely should be celebrating, because this is a huge victory for Iowa agriculture and our biofuels community at the same time. So we were able to pass off the floor yesterday a package of legislation that will not only allow for the year-round sale of E15, also help with some of the infrastructure there and building that out, and work on the supply chain, but also included My Precise Act, which is really about helping our farmers be the best stewards of their land in terms of precision agriculture technology. We want to increase our crop yields, of course, while decreasing the inputs and the runoff from the nutrients, which I think is what we all want to see. So we know that precision agriculture equipment can be very pricey, and this is a bipartisan bill, My Precise Act, again, that passed the House yesterday to make it easier for farmers to access that precision ag equipment. So a big victory for agriculture and a big victory for biofuels here in Iowa.
Okay, let's stay on the Precise Act for right at the moment here. How does that act help the farmers obtain some of that equipment that they need?
Right. So it allows them to use existing programs through EQIP and CSP to access some resources there, because again, this is about making sure more people can access that equipment. We know it's very expensive, and those investments can dig into your bottom line, truly. So that's what we wanted to be able to do, to open that up and provide that opportunity. There are some broadband elements as well, which we know is crucial. You talk about all the technology and how important that is in making sure that we can develop that and sync that up with the equipment. So really that's our biggest focus, is continuing to look to programs that we know and trust and our farmers know and trust, opening those up so it's not any new money, it's using those existing resources, but now being able to use for the purpose of helping to buy precision ag equipment.
Now, onto the biofuels. I know that's something the Iowa caucus, both chambers, has been working hard on, is to get this E15 taken care of. We had it, and then the C Circuit Court overturns it, and basically it came down to Congress had to do something. I think I've talked with almost the whole delegation about this from time and time again. Now with this legislation coming out, what is this going to mean, and how did that fix that hole that's been there for quite some time?
Yeah. Well, this is about continuing to push for long-term certainty for the biofuels industry. We've been advocating for an all-of-the-above energy strategy, which when you look at what we're experiencing right now with record high fuel prices, our biofuels have a great answer to help consumers have a choice at the pump and also help lower those prices in a way that's a greener burning fuel. So this is where this is a true victory. You know, we've been fighting, as you mentioned, the courts on this. We've been fighting the EPA on this. We want to make sure there is long-term certainty there. So I think this is a great first step to have this package of bills go through that not only, again, help with making E15 available year-round, but also help with some of the infrastructure for the gas stations, for the equipment as well, to be able to handle higher blends of ethanol in their fuels. So I think when you're looking at what we're facing right now, this is a great answer for that. So we will continue to advocate for this package of bills to make its way through the Senate and then hopefully to President Biden's desk.
Now, there are people that think that this E15, this loophole closure, is a mandate that people have to use it, and that's not it at all. It's a matter of choice, isn't it?
Absolutely. This is about choice in fuels. And I tell my colleagues this all the time in Washington, D.C. You know, you have E15 at the pump, and you can see the gas right next to it that says no ethanol, right? And you can then, as a consumer, say, hey, yes, this is something I want to put in my vehicle, or look at the price there. I can see that is, you know, dropped the price down significantly per gallon. I have an E85 flex fuel minivan, and I still can make the choice based upon the prices at the pump, what I want to put in my vehicle. So again, this is about preserving the options of liquid fuels for consumers, and consumer choice should be at the center of all of these conversations. And this is a way where we can provide that option to people without a mandate.
Now, as long as we're talking about fuel, and obviously fuel prices, I mean, you know it as well as I do, they're awfully high. I know you've talked before, there's other options that the administration and Congress could look at, especially maybe going into more of drilling some more, look for what we've got, that we can maybe exercise or use more of what we already have.
Right. Well, and this is exactly what this administration has done. They have put up every roadblock to domestic energy production, instead relying on our adversaries. I like to talk about it like your highway is your domestic energy independence, right? You've got your highway, and then you've got your on-ramp to get on that highway. But this administration has put up every single roadblock along that on-ramp, and then they want to fine people for sitting there with their turn signal on. That's exactly what's happening to people who are looking to drill, looking to lease. They've stopped lease sales. They've stopped being able to move forward with the permit process in many cases. And they've made it so onerous that many of these companies don't want to make the billions of dollars of investment that it takes in order to do that. So in essence, this administration's policies have torpedoed American energy production and American energy independence. And their answer is to dip into the strategic reserve. I've introduced legislation that would say, hey, if you're stopping this lease process, if you're stopping domestic drilling in its tracks, in essence, you shouldn't be able to dip into the strategic reserve unless you're allowing all those options. So now we're seeing the strategic reserve at a 35-year low, which I think should be alarming to all Americans when we're looking at now going to our foreign adversaries to ask them to produce more oil.
Now, have you talked with your colleagues? Have you heard from the administration as to why they're wanting to rely more heavily on foreign produced oil?
Well, I see this as just lip service, right? They're trying to pander to their base because their base is number one focus is on climate change and pushing that agenda forward. And unfortunately, they have, again, torpedoed American jobs, American energy independence in the process. Many of the states that rely on those good paying jobs are now finding themselves in crisis. So that's a direct result of this administration's policies. And again, it makes us less safe. This is about American, not only energy independence, but American national security as well.
And I'm sure with the ethanol and on all the work that we've done to help with biofuels, you obviously get that chance to converse with the oil state representatives. And so I'm sure you're hearing what challenges they're having as well. I mean, it's not that we're trying to put any oil out of business and take away those jobs. It's just trying to find another way to help supplement that fuel.
Absolutely. Again, this comes back to consumer choice, right? One of my good colleagues in Texas who came in as a freshman with me, August Pfluger, he represents the Permian Basin. And his statement is always, let's look to Midland, Texas over Moscow, Russia for our oil. And I think that's absolutely true. It supports good paying jobs. They are continuing to find new and unique ways to be more and more efficient with the harvesting of this oil and more environmentally friendly in how they do that process. And we continue to, again, say, hey, look, ethanol is a cleaner burning process. So let's look to how can we work together as liquid fuel options for consumers to make not only continue to make strides for our environment and how we're working on carbon, but also continue to look at preserving those options for the combustion engine, because it's not like we can flip a switch and go to all electric overnight like this administration is trying to do.
All right. Well, Congresswoman, I know you are extremely busy, and I know you appreciate you taking the time to visit with us today.
Thank you for having me, Dustin, and I'm very excited about this. Again, a big win for Iowa agriculture.
That again was Iowa 1st District Congresswoman Ashley Hinson. And now let's take a look at that ag weather outlook. Well, it was a beautiful day here in Des Moines. The sun was out and shining, not too humid, comfortable to be out, even though it was in the mid to upper 80s today. But that cool weather is not going to last. In fact, the heat is going to come roaring back starting tomorrow, and it will come back with a vengeance for the next few days. Let's see what the National Weather Service has in store for the next 24 hours. Well, looking at the forecast for today, we're looking for mostly sunny skies across the state and still warmer, 85 to 90 degrees. Tonight will be mostly clear, well, a few clouds here and there, and we'll see lows about mid-50s to around 70. And then tomorrow we'll see these temperatures hang on just one more day, and we'll see highs of in the low 80s in the east to the low 90s in the west. Looking at the affiliate weather map for tomorrow, as we said, in the western parts of the state, we're going to see those warmer temperatures. Cherokee sunny in 91, Shenandoah sunny in 93. Des Moines will be just a little bit cooler as we look at sunny skies and 87 degrees. Over in Albia, they'll be sunny and 85. Waterloo, sunny skies and 83. Clinton looks to be the cooler area with sunny skies and 81 degrees. For more detailed forecasts in your area, tune to your local Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network affiliate. And that's been your Ag Weather Outlook. And just like that, we're at the end of Ag Matters PM. Thanks for joining us today. You can find all our content online at iowaagnet.com. While you're there, you can also sign up for our free daily e-newsletter. You can also find our twice daily free podcast on markets. That comes to you through Google, Amazon, Apple, Spotify, and Podbean. You can find replays at iowaagnet.com as well. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, LinkedIn, and find our video content as well as past episodes of AM PM on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow so that way you get alerts when those new products come out. For the IAR Studio team here in Des Moines, for Riley Smith, Avery Haskell, I'm Dustin Huffman. This has been Ag Matters PM.